Come on, I mean, exactly. And look, if you turn on any of the corporate cable news media, or you read the New York Times, or like or the Washington Post, or any of this stuff, right? It's always, they're like obsessed with the fight about transgenderism or racism. Like, I'm saying, from whichever side they're coming at it from, whether it's the Fox News side or the MSNBC side. How many times are they just like running a story about, like, I don't know, hey, there's the CIA, and they did all of these really terrible things, and they're like a secret paramilitary organization that has an unbelievable amount of influence on the Congress and the presidency and our foreign policy. When have you ever seen a story about that on any of? They never want to. When do they ever just talk about, like, hey, the Federal Reserve just had a meeting? There's a group of just like a handful of bankers who dictate the entire global economy. Isn't that crazy? It never even comes up. You could watch CNN all day, every day, and never even know there is a Federal Reserve. Like, it just never comes up. It's like a topic that's not even discussed. And so, like, the question isn't like whether you think the Fed should be tightening or easing. The question is, like, how come it never comes up? Why do they love these cultural issues that pit all of us against each other? And then it creates this kind of like fun house mirror version of society where, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess we're all in our own bubbles, but like, I'll see people, like on arguing about like whether gender is a social construct and there's no such thing. And then you'll have other people being like trad cons who are like, women's place is in the kitchen and only the men should work and only this. And you're like, I've never met a person who has either of these views. I've never met anybody who thought like this represents no one. What are we even talking about here, man? These distractions, neither of these things are happening. We're never gonna live in a world where there's no such thing as a difference between men and women. And we're not going back to 1949 when only men work and women stay home. It's just madness. It's like all these distractions so that nobody focuses on how the most powerful people in this society have totally rigged the game in their behalf so that they can rape the rest of us. And a big part of that is starting these, what the government likes to call wars, where we have, civilian casualties, AKA mass murder campaigns done by states, Yeah. And like, it's the most disgusting thing in the world. We're finally at a point where we could wake up to this. And to your point before, because I do remember my second point of that other thing I was gonna say, when you talk about how much the people are against this and how much they've lost control of the narrative, I will just say that states, governments, no matter what you think of them, whether they're authoritarian dictatorships or democracies, if democracies ever really exist, or democratic socialist countries or whatever, they all rely on propaganda. They all use propaganda. And why is that? Why do they launch propaganda campaigns? It's because at least they believe, I would argue they know, that they need to convince us of their legitimacy. Like they can't do this without that. If you think about all of the major government policies, they always needed propaganda campaigns to get them through. Either side of any war, even the just side of a war, they need propaganda to convince their people to do that. And they have lost the ability, that like they've lost the propaganda mechanism. And so I don't know exactly what that means, but we're in a brave new world now, brother. Like, we are not in the same place that we used to be. You cannot imagine them trying in 2002 when they were building up the war propaganda for Iraq. Just imagine, we had Bill O'Reilly was the #1 show at that time. Imagine now, and I know a lot of people like they'll beat up these guys for not being perfect, but the truth is, like, Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson and like all the people out there, they're just way less controlled than Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity and Chris Matthews were. And so we at least have like a fighting shot now. These guys will at least host voices that will break down, like the opposing point of view. So yeah, we got a fighting shot like we've never had before. And then at the same time, it's almost something out of like a Greek tragedy or a biblical story. We got a fighting shot like we've never had before. And also we're in a much more dangerous and much weaker position. Our country is $37 trillion in debt, and we're very divided culturally. And and Iran is a much tougher opponent than the other countries in the war. So, okay. So we're at a point here. And I think this is, let me just say this. I'm sorry if I'm ranting for too long, but I like to make this point because sometimes people will ask me, especially young men, ask me this a lot. Like, how do you not get black-pilled? How do you not just be depressed about the future? Like if I just laid out this case where we have this amazing opportunity, but also the odds are stacked against us and the situation's more dire than ever before. Like, what do you do in that situation? And the analogy that I like to use is like, look, I got a wife and I got 2 little kids. If I look out my door and I see 5 men with AR-15s rushing my house and they're coming in to kill me and my family, and I just have 1 gun in my house, I could sit there and go, oh man, I'm black-pilled. This sucks. There's 5 of them. They got better guns than I got. This is so unfair. I just don't see how I'm possibly going to win this situation. But listen, dude, you don't have the option to feel that way. You got a gun? Okay. Try to get down low, turn the lights off, take out their legs while they're coming in. You know what I mean? Like, I got some gasoline in my shed. Maybe I could build a makeshift bomb real quick and launch it at them. I don't care. You go out fighting. Like, if you've got a shot and your family's on the line, then what are we talking about here? You go for it and you try your best. And so right now, it's like, if we're gonna go out, let's at least go out trying our best to do something. We got better odds than a lot of people before us. Cenk, as I'm sure you know the history of this well, there were anti-war protesters during World War I who simply just got locked up by the Wilson regime. They just got thrown in insane asylums or prisons or whatever. In fact, Eugene Debs, right? There was a presidential candidate who ran for president from prison.
Yep.
And so we have it so much better than some people in the past had it. We have so much more of a fighting shot. And if they didn't just give up, then we don't have the right to just give up.
Yeah.